All right. With the chestnuts, it looks like we're prepared. So along those lines, we'll call to order the June 24th, 2026 meeting of the Board of Supervisors and the Culpeper County Planning Commission. This is once again a joint public hearing of the Board of Supervisors and the Planning Commission. So with this, the first thing we'll do is establish a quorum. Ms. Ellis, for the board. I'm going to go ahead and look and say we're all present. We have a quorum. Thank you. Quorum of the Planning Commission.
Yes. And I'm going to do the same thing you done and say that we do have a quorum, sir.
Great.
Yes.
We have a quorum. So now, statement of purpose and item. The item before both bodies is zoning text amendment ZTA 15-25-1, amending Appendix A of the Zoning Ordinance of the County Code, Articles 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, to regulate battery energy storage systems. The Planning Commission will consider a resolution recommending action to the board, and the board will consider an ordinance adopting the amendment. And with that, I believe we'll call forward Ms. Harris.
Can you hear me? Yes. I'll pull it closer. Except for I don't have a clicker. Good evening. Many of you have seen the majority of this presentation before, but I'll quickly go through the parts that lead us through the history of where we have been with this zoning text amendment. It began last October and December with the Rules Committee reviewing the definition in the zoning ordinance of utility power generation and storage facilities. Staff was directed to create a distinct definition for energy storage facility and then remove it entirely from the A1 agricultural zoning district and continuing to allow its use through a conditional use permit in the industrial district. On January 6th, the Board of Supervisors reviewed and moved that the item proceed to the Planning Commission for review. The Planning Commission then held work sessions in February, April, May, and June on this while they waited for the General Assembly to act. On June 2nd, the Board of Supervisors were provided with the draft zoning text based on what came out of the General Assembly and authorized the Planning Commission to include the expanded definition of battery storage for an accessory use along with the primary use that was part of the original ZTA. So the current zoning ordinance, as we just mentioned, puts together the utility power generation and storage facilities as a permissible use with a CUP in agricultural A1, light industrial, and industrial districts. This then, what staff has recommended is that the standalone definition be changed from energy storage facility to the more common name of the battery energy storage systems, or BESS. You want me to go up there? And measurements, and then also create the BESS accessory. The proposed zoning ordinance coming out of Rules Committee recommended its removal in Article 3 and then Article 7 to keep with the approved CUP. This chart basically outlines what came out of Rules Committee in red, and then in blue, you have what is the new law coming out of the General Assembly that was signed into law by the governor on April 22nd. That new law basically says that solar will be considered by localities, either by right or through a conditional use permit, in all agricultural, commercial, and industrial zoned lands. The reason that's important is because a second law came along and then said, if you have an approved solar project, that BESS as an accessory use will be permitted by right. So what you now have is a ZTA that incorporates both what the original intent was, which was creating the defined definition specific to BESS with subcategories of primary and accessory, and then adding in the articles where it's either defined as BESS accessory to anticipate this new solar law, or the BESS primary only in light industrial and industrial zone lands through a conditional use permit. This is a map that simply shows the A1 zoning, the industrial zoning, and the commercial zoning all combined on one map so that you can see how the new state law impacts a large portion of the acreage in this county. So as recommended before the state code change, you have the Article 2, Article 3, Article 4, Article 7, which I've already mentioned, of the unique definition for BESS, removing it from A1, removing it from RA, and then allowing it still as a conditional use permit in the industrial. After the state code change, we then incorporate those and add the BESS accessory as by right in Article 3, BESS accessory as permitted by right in the commercial districts, and the BESS accessory as permitted in the light industrial. The reason we're here tonight for this special meeting is because within the state code, it also says that anything that is on the books of a locality before July 1 or as of July 1 is what will dictate the performance standards moving forward until 2030. So with that, you also now have Article 9, special provisions, which in essence copies this Article 17 performance standards and then places them in their own unique section, because we can't touch them after July 1, and we are going to have to go back and update Article 17 based on that new solar law that will come into effect July 1, but we can deal with that after tonight. So what you have here is the new definition of the BESS, both primary and accessory. And in your packet, you have all the draft articles previously reviewed by the board on June 2nd and the Planning Commission on June 10th. But we can quickly walk through them. The intent here is, as we've said, to create the two subcategories. And then in addition, you will see the change to parcel in our zoning ordinance to create a more concise, clear definition than what currently exists. And it basically states that anything that is recorded within the circuit court land records will be recognized as a parcel. So in a synopsis, Article 3 through 7, I won't go through this again because I just reviewed it with you, but this is all within the packet, each individual red line section. And then the special provisions duplicates what was previously vetted and adopted in Article 17 under the use permit standards, but it moves it to its own section and then speaks to things like the fire safety, the project area regulations, height regulations, decommissioning provisions, sureties, what have you. So the Planning Commission did a work session a couple of weeks ago on the proposed articles that came out of the June 2nd board meeting and requested that two changes be made. One is under the view shed analysis. If you have a BESS accessory, then it would go through an administrative site plan process. The way it was currently written, it was with the intent of it going through a CUP that would allow you some negotiation room and review. But instead, we needed to add a sentence that basically gave administrative ability to the zoning administrator to tie whatever comes out of the view shed analysis to a submitted landscaping plan. So what this does is it basically says that if there is an impact found in the view shed analysis, then the applicant must address it in the landscape plan. The second thing that came out of the Planning Commission was a discussion about the project area definition. In Article 17, it's defined as a maximum of 300 acres. It was thinking about solar when it did this. The Planning Commission spent a significant amount of time discussing what was an appropriate project area for battery storage because it's not an apples-to-apples comparison. And what they found was they determined that 20 acres was the appropriate acreage. And the way they got there was they took the previously approved solar that has 100 megawatts nameplate. And basically, state code now says that the BESS accessory is a 1-for-1. So we need to be able to accommodate 100 megawatts of BESS, potentially. And then they looked at how many acres does that translate to, and they found that basically 1 megawatt translates to 1 to 2 acres. And that's how they arrived at the 10 to 20 acres for 100 megawatts. And in looking at it with people in the industry, they have found that this is a good conservative estimate for safety reasons and it can be worked with. So the next steps are, for tonight, the Board of Supervisors scheduled this special joint public hearing with the Planning Commission, hold the joint public hearing, and then after it is closed, the Planning Commission can have their motion, discussion, and recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. After that, the Board of Supervisors can have their motion, discussion, and final action.
Much, Ms. Harris. We on probably both boards and commissions are used to asking questions now, but the way that it's written, perhaps because it's a joint public hearing, is we will have the public hearing, and then Chairman Reeves will ask the Planning Commission relative to questions as staff, and then I will do so relative to the board. So with that, I now will open the joint public hearing. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. If you'd please state your name and magisterial district before speaking, that would be helpful. The public hearing is now open. Sir, please come forward.
How are you? I'm here to talk about a BESS project.
Sir, if you could say your name and magisterial district, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. It's Stevensburg, and it's Stan Rodriguez is in my name. Okay. My name is Stan Rodriguez. I live in Culpeper County for about 30 years, and I live on about 200 acres zoned ag and forestry. The Dominion line that runs through my property has an industrial function already, and a substation is being put in about a mile from my house. This upgrade was needed for the system to stabilize the grid. Other projects like battery storage and to ensure grid stability and stop voltage drops that can lead to these blackouts or cause influx in the, how you say, in the grid. The battery storage project at my place is between two substations. So what they do is they put the battery storage in there. So when they're bringing more power on that line, they're turning it up. And in order to turn up each individual line, they got to watch it more closely. So they don't want this influx of power going through it or coming back the other way. So they want to do these battery storage projects. So this way, it's immediate. The battery releases energy exactly when it's needed, not later on. So that's why they do these BESS projects. I mean, Dominion should have explained some of this stuff to you. I mean, I don't know if they ever did, but that's why they do these projects. They don't just do them in industrial sites. They do them in the countryside. The power line that runs through my property carries about 500,000 homes and businesses. It comes out of Lake Anna Nuclear Power Plant. And so it carries an enormous amount of electricity. And that reliability has to be there every day. It's not something you can just turn off and turn on. They have to be ready for this. And what they told me was about 3 to 5 years is when the power is going to be really stressed. So that's why everybody's talking about power now. And you all get that. And I know it's a problem, but we're still going to have to address it. And the safety concerns with the power. And I know everybody's against it, you know, but we all got to have electricity. So I just came here tonight to talk a little bit about, you know, this project that Delafield came to me about 6 months ago with. But this ain't something that is going to be done in a year or 2 years. These are 3-year projects to get on this power line. Because the power line's owned by the PJM. Dominion just maintains it. And I knew nothing about the PJM. And this guy came and sat down and talked to at my house, and he started at lunch, and we were still talking at 8 o'clock. And so, you know, these projects that they recommend to the board, they're not just something they need to do them, and they have to start talking now about them. So, like I said, I'm not a professional or nothing. I'm just here. I'm a homeowner that just brought this to my attention. But I just wanted to come talk to you all and explain it. I would have had a better report, but I wrote this myself.
Thank you very much, sir. We very much appreciate it.
But hey, thanks for listening to me, and I hope you understand about the storage projects and why they're coming, or why they want to be produced. But just on industrial land, they have to make sense for the power companies. It's where it's needed and where we got to control it and stabilize it. But there's better people to explain it than me. Okay,
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Who else would like to speak on this issue? Yes, sir.
Testing. Okay, here we go. My name is Jeff Herron, Stevensburg District. I've got a 69-acre parcel in Stevensburg. It's got that power line running through the middle of it. It also has a substation, a large substation. They want to triple the size of that substation. I've had a call from the power company wanting me to sell them more land to increase the size of that. So it's like he says, it's kind of industrial already. They're after about 20 acres of my parcel. They want to put I have two companies that I'm talking to. They want to put a battery pack there by that substation to help do the same thing he was saying, to help to help collect power at night while everybody's sleeping, and then also during the day, during the peak demand, when everybody has their air conditioners turned on, this battery pack will help feed those peak demand hours, so you don't have to build more gas-powered plants to generate electricity. Batteries are quiet, they're clean, and it will lower the electrical power, the kilowatt hours that everybody pays that are constantly increasing right now. It'll help with that pricing as well, too. When I'm, excuse me, I'm getting a glass of water, but when I bought this, oh, thank you. I think I'd rather have a root canal. Okay, so when I bought this property, I didn't buy the dirt. I bought a bundle of rights. Okay, I bought this bundle of rights. I didn't buy the dirt. I bought the bundle of rights. And it sounds to me like what's up for grabs is one of the most valuable rights that I have right now to move primary battery storage from A1 into some industrial park that's miles away that will basically kill this project. This project's beneficial for society, and it sounds like planning or somebody wants to kill it. Or it came out of rules, I do believe. This thing about taking primary, which is already, you guys already can review it already under a conditional use permit. But moving it from A1 into some industrial park that's miles away will definitely kill that opportunity. And I'm here to ask that board to reconsider that movement, because it will cause me harm if you do that. And is my time up? I think I saw your light come on. You're
yes,
going to give me a
sir,
little bit because of my voice.
Take
Okay.
a few
All right.
more seconds to wrap
Thank you,
up
sir.
if you could, sir. Thank you.
So I just wanted to say that when I bought this property, I bought a bundle of rights. It sounds to me like today, you guys want to take one of those rights away. And that right is very valuable to me. And I do not understand, because society will benefit from this 15, 20 acres. I don't know how you guys came up with 20 acres. Society, you shake your head, no, I wish we had a conversation,
Sir, if you
but we
would,
don't.
yeah.
But everything I've read and looked, and the internet's pretty powerful these days. It can lot more powerful than this gentleman's mind over here. So it tells me that it is beneficial.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay,
I appreciate
thank you.
it.
Thanks for the water too, by the way.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Laura Heron. I'm from Stevensburg. That's my dad. So we were here June 10th, and he said something similar, that he didn't want to lose rights to his property, our property, the A1 zone district, zoned piece of land. And Mr. Chairman Reeves, you told him he didn't know what he was talking about. So we did what you suggested, and we spoke to your admin team, and we talked to a public policy expert, we talked to a lawyer, and it turns out he was spot on. So that makes me really nervous that you guys might not have the whole picture. So I'm just going to spend my time sharing a little bit about what I researched, because he's my dad, but I also work for him. So that's been most of the last 2 weeks for me, is doing research on this. So Culpeper County has multiple hyperscale data centers incoming. I have a list of them here. I mean, a lot of these are just data centers that we've had for a long time, those smaller ones. And, but we've got Cloud HQ, 215 megawatts. You've got EdgeCore, 216 megawatts. And then Amazon is also coming in, and they haven't disclosed how many megawatts, which is scary. So I'm really hoping that you guys have a plan, and I feel like this amendment to ban battery storage from A1 land, which we saw on the map is most of the land in Culpeper County, that's a little scary to me. I'm worried about the people of Culpeper County who are going to be paying more per kilowatt hour because of decisions like these. BESS will help lower Culpeper resident cost per kilowatt hour by providing energy during peak demand. And I know you all know that when the grid runs short, we don't just lose Wi-Fi. I mean, people get hurt. And we've been trying to get some reasoning for this amendment. No one will explain the reason to us, and my assumption is that it's about keeping Culpeper looking nice, which I understand. I love Culpeper, but this A1 land we're talking about is already not pretty. It's got a giant transmission line. It has a 115 kilovolt substation, and like he said, it's going to be tripled. And that progress is critical to sustain the power grid for Culpeper. Now, today, the county doesn't look like it did 100 years ago, right? We didn't have transmission lines or substations, and I'm trying to think about what it's going to look like in another 100 years. And we can't keep it looking the way it does now. It's impossible. We have to change for the data centers that have been approved, for the commercial projects that have been approved, just for the growth of the county. So I'm hoping that y'all won't ban from nearly all of the land in this county the cheapest, fastest, and cleanest way to relieve the strain on the grid. Because in a few years, I think you're going to have a mess on your hands, and I think you're going to wish that you had every kilowatt of support you could get. So respectfully, I ask that you strike the amendment and let these projects continue to be judged where they make sense. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm getting better at this, don't worry. Problems user error, not the box. So, anybody else that would like to speak? Yes, sir. It's, you got it, yeah. Use this to back up.
Hello, Board of Supervisors and Planning Commission. My name is Joe Gray. I am a local farmer. I farm in Catalpa, Stevensburg, and Jefferson District. So thank you all for hearing me right now. I don't know what 3 minutes looks like, but I'm going to take my time because this is a little nervous. You guys are kind of intimidating. So, Mr. Heron does have a piece of land that I tend to on Tom's Road. It's unsightly. It's not very productive, and I love to farm. I don't like to see land develop, but this is a perfect spot for a BESS project. It sits right up against a substation and transmission line running through it. The power company has approached him about expanding that substation. They want to make it even uglier. It is not like we're coming to Auburn Farm. We love and enjoy that and love the community to come and enjoy it with us. But we're talking about a Tom's Road property that we have. Farming is my primary source of income, and I support primary battery storage on A1 land. The reason I support this is the low impact on farmland. It takes up very few acres. It provides benefits like supplemental income to farmers and lowers energy costs for everyone. Farming is a hard way of living, as Mr. Payne might know. It's always been hard, but even harder now, more than people could understand. By hard, I mean costs go up every year. Grain prices don't. and weather patterns in recent decades have caused considerable losses. The profit margins are getting thin as hell, often negative. Jeff Herron will tell you he's lost over $1.6 million in probably the last 6 years. Passing the ZTA 15-25-1 will put more pressure on farmers. Potential for income. This amendment takes away another one of the farmer's rights, and it doesn't pay them for it. When a farmer finds a way to bring in steady income from a small, otherwise marginal piece of his property, that is survival. That's what lets him keep farming the rest of his acres instead of selling the whole thing to a developer, because none of us want to see that. On your June 10th PowerPoint presentation, there was a picture of the county and its A1 land picture as all green and pretty. Very little of that land actually is farmable. Some of that land sits right up against industrial zones, like this piece of property on Tom's Road. If you want farms in Culpeper 20 years from now, you've got to let people who own them make a living. And you've got to protect us from the rising energy costs, judging these projects one site at a time. Banning them outright doesn't.
Sir, if you could wrap up soon, that'd be great. I appreciate
I
it.
didn't get a buzzer.
Hold on here. There you go, sir.
All right, so closing, this is the land of opportunity, right? And I know some might say, well, if you don't like it, pack your shit up and go. But I love to be here. This is a great place to be and an even better place to be from. So I wish you guys well, and may you make the best decision.
Thank you, sir. Behind, yes, in the rear, sir, and then Ms. Parmalee.
Good evening, members of the board and planning commission. My name is Dylan Taylor. I'm not a resident of Culpeper County, but I'm from Petersburg, Virginia. I represent Energy Right, an educational nonprofit focused on energy education across Virginia. As you consider the future battery storage development on industrial zone land, I encourage you to consider these projects on agriculturally zoned land with a small caveat. Many locations best suited for battery storage are adjacent to or have existing substations and transmission lines on them or running through them. These properties typically carry an agricultural zoning designation, while the infrastructure itself serves as an industrial function. Restricting BESS exclusively to industrial could eliminate some of the safest and most practical sites available. Maintaining the ability to site BESS on ag land can also support safety goals. While many battery storage facilities are designed with multiple layers of fire prevention and safety systems, public concerns about fire risks are very understandable. Locating these facilities near existing electrical infrastructure in rural areas often provides greater separation from homes, businesses, schools, and other sensitive areas. Lastly, I understand that the Planning Commission recommended a maximum project area of 20 acres. I would encourage the board to consider applying that limit specifically to the buildable area occupied by the battery containers themselves, rather than the entire footprint. This ensures the actual project site stays within the 20 maximum acres allowed, and the remaining buffer setbacks and access areas have some room to breathe, such as a 30-acre proposal for the entire footprint. If the board chooses to proceed with industrial-only language, I just encourage you all to create an exemption or special review pathway for projects located adjacent to or on existing electrical infrastructure. At a minimum, these locations should remain eligible for consideration for a CUP. Myself and the Energy Right team are more than happy to be a resource for the county, and we thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Parmalee.
Sarah Parmalee, representing the Piedmont Environmental Council. We would like to begin by commending staff for putting together this proposed amendment on such a short timeline. We support the proposed amendment as it creates necessary guardrails for this emerging industrial land use while still leaving a pathway for those who wish to pursue this use on their property. PEC supports the controlled expansion of utility-scale batteries. As has been previously mentioned, Culpeper has approved a massive amount of new energy demand, and batteries, while not a silver bullet, can help mitigate peak loads, increase grid stability, and allow for more efficient use of existing fossil fuel power sources, as well as new distributed and utility-scale solar power sources. We recommend that after adopting this amended language, the county consider including guidance for battery storage in the comprehensive plan. Encouraging batteries near existing transmission infrastructure will add greater clarity for when a landowner comes forward with a rezoning and will just generally avoid confusion. As always, PEC is also a resource for batteries and transmission information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kristen Borden, Stevensburg District. I did not plan on speaking tonight, but here I am. Standing before you as not just a landowner, but someone that lives here. And, you know, we have people that farm here but don't live here, so I want to speak as someone that lives here. I understand that some of the property owners would like the flexibility to place these facilities on agricultural land. I respect that perspective. But zoning isn't about what one property owner wants. It's about balancing individual property rights and the rights of the neighboring property owners and the long-term vision for our entire county. Agricultural zoning exists to protect farmlands and rural communities. When we start allowing large industrial uses by default in these districts, those protections begin to erode. If a project truly belongs in that particular location, then it should be able to go through the conditional use process. That process doesn't prohibit the development. It just slows us down and gives us the opportunity to make sure that it's appropriate for the specific site. So I encourage having the language in there that we can make sure that we slow down and make sure the use is right for that particular spot. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Mr. Haight.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission and members of the Board of Supervisors. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity, as well as other people, to speak tonight. Don Haight, Stevensburg District. The Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors have made many difficult decisions the past year. Tonight is not one. Culpeper is known as an agricultural community and has been known for many years. Loudoun County was once known as one of the most beautiful horse counties in the country. Loudoun County is now known as a concrete data center dump. Beautiful and Loudoun County are no longer used in the same sentence. Tonight is one of the easiest decisions that you will make this year. Easy because the county is united. Easy because it preserves Culpeper's rural character for generations to come. If you want to preserve our county, vote to restrict battery storage to only in heavy industrial zone properties. It's heavy industrial and it belongs on such. Save the county and restrict battery storage to heavy industrial zone property only. Plain and simple. Vote to save our beautiful county, or vote to start the destruction of Culpeper County for generations to come. I urge you all to vote tonight to restrict battery storage to heavy industrial zone property, period. End of discussion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Jim Herlock, live in Richardsville, Virginia, Stevensburg District. And wasn't prepared for this tonight, but I just wanted to say that I believe that we need to keep our agriculture free from this batteries storage. Give up 20 acres now, 20 acres later, 20 acres later, eventually the county has no agriculture left. I think the best decision that the board could make with the planning commission is that we do not allow the battery storage to be an agricultural land. Thank you.
Sir. Anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, we will close the public hearing. Next up will be Chairman Reeves and the Planning Commission with staff questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, we've played with this and come to this point now to where we've had the public hearing and acknowledge some of the comments that have been made. But at this time, the chair does entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution recommended that the Board of Supervisors approve ZTA 15-25-1 as set forth in the proposed ordinance.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Being none, all commissioners in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay. Mr. Chairman, unanimously, the commission moved to go forward with approval.
Wow. Thank you, sir. That's very efficient. I appreciate that. Okay, now we will begin with, for the Board of Supervisors, is there questions of staff, discussion, or a motion? We're not quite as quick as the Planning Commission.
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion that we approve the amendment as the Planning Commission has presented, recommended.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve what the Planning Commission recommended, adopting what was advertised. Is there further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to state that I think that our speakers, and I thank them for coming out tonight, brought some very compelling arguments for allowing BESS on farmland, only in very exceptional cases. And our gentleman back here, our energy consultant, thank you for coming tonight. I think he mentioned creating an exemption that allows BESS on agriculturally zoned land only in certain situations. It would have to be the correct location. We wouldn't want to allow this just anywhere. So I personally think that there is a place for this on agriculturally zoned land. We have had 4 or 5 speakers speak in favor of it. So before we lead the topic, and I certainly am for preservation of our farms, preserving our agricultural community, always. But this is a pretty unique situation, and I'm just curious if there's any appetite on the board for any further discussion of this. If there's not, then we will know that soon enough. But I do think personally that there are certain exemptions that might qualify for use of BESS. And that, again, as our folks said, and I wrote these, I thought they had some great points. This kind of operation provides financial stability. It allows farmers to make a living. And we often hear about how difficult farmers have with their finances. So I'm just wondering, again, if this might be beneficial in certain instances. So just wanted to bring that point up.
Ms. Brown.
Mr. Chairman, kind of to piggyback on that as well, and to the point to several people here in the audience, it disturbs me that we weren't given the opportunity to be able to really explore all of these options. And as it caught them off guard, not really knowing what what we were talking about tonight, it kind of caught me off guard to that level too. I don't know that it would change anything to talk more about it as far as that goes, because as we're talking now, we know that we're going to have to readdress it because of the comp plan and the other comments that were made. So at this point, I would support the motion with the idea that we're going to have to go back and probably refine some of this because we're rushing in on a primary use that was not before us, and that was not to be discussed. It was originally going to just be that accessory use. So that kind of concerns me a little bit in that regard. But I'm willing to move forward, as Mr. Bates and Mr. Payne said, in order to come back and fine tune anything that we might need to.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also agree with Supervisor Brown. I agree with the motion. I agree with the intent of what we're doing here. My biggest concern when I came in here tonight is that we've had this was a rush because we had to do this before the 1st of July because of something that's being pushed down from the state. So I don't like to be in a rush. I really wanted to have more time with the primary to really get this right. And I'm not saying that it's not, but I think going forward, we're going to have to really, how we handle this in the comprehensive plan, just as Supervisor Brown just said, I think it's going to be super important. So I can support it tonight. Do I want to spend more time taking a look and making sure we get this right? I do. So, but I do support this tonight.
Supervisor Bates.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to kind of throw my thoughts in on this. The reason I made the motion, I can remember in 2019 on the Planning Commission, 2018 actually, when we were talking about solar. And I had talked to farmers, and I know there are farmers in the room right now that any type of supplemental residual income is great to try to preserve the family farm. But what's happened when we started with the solar, it seemed like as soon as we cracked that door, there was no stopping it. It went from what initially started as a 35 to a 50-acre part of the back of the farm that, you know, they'd be collecting $1,500 to $2,000 a month. I mean, that's huge. But then it ballooned into the one that we have approved now is 1,000 acres. When we talk about battery storage, some of the comments that were made, we've got, you know, they're quiet and they're clean and, you know, well, they're quiet and clean when everything's going correctly. But I have seen on the news where these batteries, when they're overheated from voltage spikes or whatever the case may be, that it's burning people's houses down. There's been counties that have had these BESS units that when they do catch fire, you can't put them out. The toxic smoke, the runoff, and we're talking a lot of these areas in the Stevensburg district, we're down close to the Rapidan River. And, you know, that to me does scare me when we talk about runoff and tributaries. So again, I fully understand the points that were brought up tonight, and I will say that it seems like the ones that are, you know, 100% behind it, the almighty dollar does play a factor in that, because they're going to be leasing that land to these battery storage facilities, and I would get it. Hey, I wouldn't want to lose the money either. But again, we're not taking rights away. This is agriculturally zoned property, which was zoned for farming. RA, which was zoned for, it's a transition between residential and agriculture. And we start putting these things out here, I mean, once we've destroyed our land, we're done. So again, I'm not going to belabor the point here, but I feel good about the motion, and again, I think that we'll call the question.
Actually, before you call the question, I was trying to get everyone through. I'd like to speak briefly too. I understand that we need to act quickly because of performance standards relative to accessory uses. As far as I know, nobody has even spoke about that, so it appears we all agree with that. In terms of battery as a standalone use, it is listed as a right in A1 right now. I mean, it's explicitly in a number, it says storage. And what this does is strikes through it. So there's something there that is being explicitly removed. That may be where this board wants to go. That may be where the Planning Commission wants to go. But we have a process that we could follow. We're not under a rush to do that now. We could make sure that we know what's within the 20 acres, if it's 20 acres. Like, are the buffers in it? Is the stormwater in it? Is it not? And so to do this now, when the standalone is not necessary, I don't know enough to have an opinion. So the reason that I don't support the motion as it is with everything is not because I'm all for battery storage or I'm all for anything else. It's because if we're not under a hurry and if we can follow a normal process and learn for that part, I would prefer that we learn relative to A1 and standalone and not change that now, because we don't need to. We can change it next month. We can go through whatever the regular process is and make sure we get it right. For the other stuff that we needed to act quickly, this board, the Planning Commission, wanted to act quickly. We held the meeting. I would support that part, but for the rest, I'm hesitant.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought I saw you turning the microphone on. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Well, just back to the point made by my colleague Supervisor Brown and Supervisor Payne, you're suggesting then that if we pass the motion tonight, we can come back then and revisit possibilities of this type of a unit being placed on agriculturally zoned land with certain exceptional situations? Or did I not hear that correctly? Or we would just simply go back and review that entire topic?
I think we'd have to go back and review the entire topic on that, because I think what you're saying is going to create like a spot zoning. If we want to consider allowing it, then you're going to have to allow for a rezoning, just like we did on Route 3. And you're going to end up with, someone coming before us as an applicant requesting, to go industrial to be able to accommodate that. And do we want to go down that path and setting those precedents? I just think there's a wide room of possibilities, and I just, I don't think that it's a good idea either. I'm just trying to figure out, what avenue and what caveats do we need to do to address it and control it. Now, the accessory, we got to do that. If we're going to do it at all, you got to do it now because of the deadline.
So your process, yeah, so the accessory we have to do. Right. So the path going forward would be a rezoning at that point to industrial if it's in ag land. So that's why I mentioned the comprehensive plan being so important going forward, because that's when if the county has to make the decision going forward, is there a need for this? Is it wanted in Culpeper County? And the comprehensive plan is what basically, except for existing industrial that's already there, your path going forward is going to be what you envision through that plan. So we got to make a decision. So if this is something that Culpeper County doesn't want, then why are we even allowing industrial land? So it's a decision that has to be made. We have to have a vision, know exactly what we want going forward. And I think the comprehensive plan, that's why it's going to be very important going forward in dictating that. So I hope I couldn't answer that as well as Denise, but I tried.
Supervisor Parrish.
I understand all sides, all sides. The beauty of serving this board, to me, is it's much easier to be in this position than to be on the planning commission, because they're the ones that have to get in the trenches and do all the things that we're talking about before we make a decision. They've gotten into the nitty-gritty. That's what they do. We get the advantage of that expertise, pulling out everything they can possibly uncover, good or bad, to serve it up to the board to make a decision. And it was unanimous. So to me, the hard work has already been done. Anything short of that, I feel like I'm second-guessing the hard work that they've done. And I don't want to start from scratch. That's how I feel about it. I'm always looking for an easy way out, and if someone else is going to do the work on my behalf, then I'm going to listen to them. And it was unanimous.
Thank you. Any further discussions? With that, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. The motion passes 6-1. Thank you. A motion to adjourn is in order. We're adjourned.